So it's been quite a while since I've made a video, and I'm just continuing on today with a little project that I actually started maybe a week or two ago. Got the Farming Like Grandad event coming up in a few weeks, and I decided that instead of just pushing this thing around or being dragged around behind it because it's self-driving, I'm going to build a little trailer for it. They did have a trailer as one of the accessories you could buy for them. Obviously not available anymore. I'm not copying anything original. I've got some photos and stuff, but I've just come up with my own rendition. I started making the hitch that goes on the end here, and I'll show you those bits and pieces that I've done, and then I'll show you what the plan is for today and moving forward, and I'll just sort of not time lapse, but I'll fast forward through some of what I'm doing and show you how I'm making it, and we'll see how it turns out. So this is what I've done so far. What I started out with was just some bits of scrap plywood. So just for a bit of context, I'm not an engineer. I don't really work with metal a lot. I'm a cabinet maker by trade, work with wood all the time. Used to build kitchens and furniture, so that's primarily where I'm at. Anyways, what I came up with was my pattern for the block of wood. I've got 3 layers of 18mm ply, all glued and screwed and stuck together, which drops in. Then a piece of steel tube. This actually came from a trampoline frame that we took apart. So I've drilled a small hole in the end, which all of the other attachments have holes in them that this pin screws into. So that drops in. As long as I can peek through the hole, or I've got my other pilot hole at the top here, and make sure I line it up properly. We screw that in and it should self-center and lock that all into place. I'll do it up a little bit tighter with a spanner or whatever on the days when I'm using it. And that makes the first part of the pivot for the trailer. What I have realised is that I'm going to have my left to right movement. It doesn't need any up and down movement because it's just like a car, it's going to be a 4-wheeled contraption. But I don't have any articulation left to right, so if I'm going over anything too bumpy, there's not going to be any twisting movement in it other than a little bit of play in the pivot here. So what I'm planning on using it for anyway is just driving it around on flat ground. It's a flat track that we drive around on out there just for a little bit of a parade, so hopefully it'll suit and work for its purpose that I need it to. Last thing I did is that I don't really want the pivoting drawbar on here to rub straight onto this wood, so I'd already cut a circle out for something else. I can't remember what it was for, but I've drilled a bigger hole out in the middle, and that slides over, and that sort of just gives me a couple of millimeters of clearance, just like a little washer in there for the pivot. The drawbar part itself I've already made. It's not painted yet because this is going to be permanently attached onto the trailer itself, so I've got my cutouts and everything in there. I'll show you how that's going to go together. That slides over. It is quite a firm fit when it goes on initially, but once it's on there, it does move quite freely. I won't put it on now because I've got to take it back off again. And then lastly, I had a couple of these pins left over. It actually came with a toolbox, so I can slide that through and clip it on, and that'll just looks the part, it does its thing. So yeah, I'll grab you off the tripod. I might actually leave you on the tripod, just move you around, and I'll show you what I've got drawn out on the first piece of ply and what I'm doing so far as building the actual trailer goes. Cool. Alright, so I'm cheating a little bit with what I'm doing to start with this to make it. Done the pivot part, and this is going to be basically the chassis of the trailer. 250 kilo rated hand trolley from Super Cheap Auto. Figured that laying down makes a pretty good trailer. When it lays down, the front is obviously down this end here. Can you see my toes? Where are we here? This is running downhill, so what I'm going to do is have to level it, which is quite good. It has like a little skid plate under the handle there, and that, to me, with those couple of blocks of wood just under that end there, move it back a wee bit, there you go. So those couple of blocks of wood that I've got just under there, they bring it up to basically level. So that's how much ground clearance it's going to have under there, which is good. I've then got 2 sheets of 18mm 600 by 1200 plywood. Crikey, that wasn't good. I hit the heater on the roof. Oh well. and now we've got a trailer deck. So the next bit was going to be connecting the drawbar, which I already had made here, and it needs to go above the top there and have some clearance out the front for the swing and the pivot. So if I push that back a bit more, fall off its blocks. Yeah, somehow about here. So I've got another sheet. Obviously I said I bought two. I've got to make a tailboard for it and a little headboard. I don't think I'm going to put sides on it. Primarily it's just going to be for standing on. It should be plenty strong enough so I can stand on there, reach out to hold the handles, or I can adjust the handles on the Atom itself to hold them, and then it'll swing either way and centre pivot to do my steering and go around corners. So I'll spin you around and we'll have a look at what I've got drawn out on my other piece of plywood jigsaw puzzle and show you what I'm going to cut out. This is my second sheet of pliers I've got on the table over here. I don't know how well these pencil lines are going to show up on camera, but I've drawn out the basic plan and the premise of what's going to happen. It's sort of an upside down gooseneck type situation where I need to drop down to the deck height because the Atom is slightly higher than what the trailer deck's going to be. So through here there's a groove cut in. If you can see, this is going to be attached here, coming down on a nice sloping angle, and then this 70mm I think I've got here is actually going to go under the deck to provide the strength. Where my feet are going to be on the deck will be probably around about here somewhere. If I need to, I can cut the axle off underneath that trolley and actually move it forward. Yeah, so I've got that. It's going to be cut through. This is my headboard down in this corner, and I've got a mark here that needs to be cut out. This will slide through, and both of these, I've got two of these marked out, jigsawed into each other just to save a little bit of wood, because I want to try and save the centre stretch of board that's not going to be used at this stage. I may have something, I may need to make some stringers, I guess, to go across underneath the trailer as well. Not really sure just yet. It's a bit of a make it up as I go along project. So there we go, I've got that marked out, coming down on an angle, going under. This will slot through, so it should all tie together really, really strong on the very front and the top of that trailer, of that trolley, sorry, to form the drawbar for a trailer. So without talking too much, I've had a good tidy up in the shed, and I've got room that I can walk around and move, and I can get to the tools I need. Basically, to get to my little table saw that's over on the side of the workshop there, I just need to pull Big Chief forward. It is a bit drizzly and rainy outside, but I'll put that over to the side of the shed somewhere. And my drop saw is just over on the back shelf there, so I can get the two main tools that I need. And I'll just start cutting this. I don't think I'll show you too much of what I'm doing when it comes to cutting, because it's just boring and noisy. So once I've got some stuff cut out, I'll probably show you what I've done, and we'll start putting it together. Cool. Now that this is down to a slightly more manageable size, you might be able to see my lines a little bit better. This will be cut down here on an angle. This stretch here will go under the trailer. The deck will run through this groove. This is going to pass through the headboard, and there, this is the opposite, the one for the opposite side that'll flip over and make the double up to form two of them. Cool, so I've probably got to cut this out with a jigsaw and then straighten some stuff up with a table saw and use the miter saw to cut the angles, and then yeah, we'll get back to you. Cool. So things are starting to come together, as you can see. Yeah, everything's worked out. It's all just basically slide together. Drawbar piece and slide through. So it's a bit chippy and not that flash at the moment, but I'm going to run around everything with a router. I've got to round off these corners properly. I've made one good corner. I'll use that as a template to do the tailboard, and then I can use the tailboard as a template again to do the headboard. Get all the corners nice and even, but yeah, everything seems to just slots together, fits nicely, it's all worked out well. The deck board itself will slide through into here to form the actual trailer deck, and that's as far back as they extend underneath. I had to cut those shorter, as you saw. I was going to round off all of these corners, but I'm just going to leave them at a 45. I'll run a radius bit around with the router, and it's going to get a coat of red paint. Obviously everything else seems to be red, so why not this as well. Yeah, so I didn't bore you with all the cutting out and the trimming and stuff in there because it was a bit tedious, but yeah, we'll carry on, do the next bit. I do have to put some little notches and sort of what would you call it, little scallops I suppose under here for where the trolley handle is. It's a round tube, so it'll fit nicely around those and clamp up underneath when I sandwich the deck down onto it. So yeah, carry on, carry on. So here we go, I've pretty much got all of the components ready to go. I've put the saws away, I've got my room back that I need, which has been really amazing. That's the biggest thing that's kept me from coming down here and working and making videos and doing some stuff really, other than having the time of course, but coming down to a messy workshop and just, yeah. But I've learnt now, keep things put them away when you're not using them, get them out of the road, makes it so much better. The one bit that I didn't show you on the tailboard here, I've just put a bevel on that bottom edge, quite a big bevel, because of the welds at the bottom of the trolley there. I want this to be able to sit hard back and flush. And the idea with this is that I'm going to try my best. I don't want to try and drill any holes or mount permanently to this trolley. I'm going to try and clamp around it with the wood. That's why some bracing and stuff is going to be needed, probably through here somewhere, as well as what's going to clamp around these. So I've got to make the notches yet. That's the next step. The way that these go around here, there's going to be a notch obviously for this to come up and meet the deck height, and a notch around there. So when these sandwich down tight, hopefully that's going to give me the strength to the trolley. I want to be able to, you know, if I need to one day take it apart and use the trolley as a trolley. So yeah, why not? Okay, so the next thing I guess is just to start drilling and screwing and putting things together. I'm not going to bore you with that. I think enough of just, you know, watching me cut things and drill holes is enough. So I'll just put some together, and anything interesting I'll show you probably once I get these notches cut out, how it's all going to fit. All of this front assembly for the drawbar has to go on first, and then I'll slide the deck board in from the side to go through that groove. There's no way that I'll be able to get it, like I say, there's no way I'll, you know, to be able to clamp around this. I won't be able to slide it on after. So the deck board's going to go through there, and then the screws going down through the deck board into this drawbar attachment type piece or whatever. We'll sandwich it all together and hold it sturdy. So let's see how we go. So I guess this is all showing up okay on camera for you. I don't know how much you can see any of the details in here, but I did run into one small issue. Because the deck board that's going to run through here is only 18mm thick, and the pipe is probably, I think, is about 25 or 26. I had to put a little scallop in here. Not too much of an issue, because the deck's still going to grab right up in the nose, right up in here, and then I'm just going to start screwing it down into the deck with a row of screws down here. So none of this is screwed together yet. It's all just on there. I've got a little clamp around this side holding it so it doesn't fall backwards on me. But yeah, it's sort of going to function and do exactly what I want it to. It's real sturdy, real strong. So what I think I'm going to do for the lower bracing further back to stop any left to right movement, to see how much of the in frame you are. If I just had these triangles that were left cut out from the front. I'm going to put a little scallop in here and make it the same height, and they'll come over and like almost like a saddle clamp through into there, and then I can do 4 screws, and I might put one, say, right behind that brace, and then one right behind that one. And I mean, there's going to be no forward or back movement because of the way it's all locked in and jammed in around here. That's just going to help sort of brace upwards and stop any sideways movement in the deck. I did notice that this very bottom plate on the trolley isn't actually at a 90-degree angle, so I've screwed the plywood together for the tailboard and the base, and when I put them on there it's sticking out. So I don't know if I should just leave it, because I don't really want to put screws or bolts through the trolley itself. Or maybe I might just get a big bar. I've got quite a large spanner or a large crescent there, and try and bend that and get more of a 90-degree angle out of it so that it does pull tight against the plywood. It'll look much better if it's tight. So that's where we're at. I'm just going to start putting some screws and things and putting it together, and yeah, I'll show you what it's like all screwed together, and then I'll probably slap some paint on after that and call it done. Cool as. Here we go, moment of truth time. So I've got all of this screwed and glued together. The bit that doesn't actually have anything attaching it is this front headboard, but never mind. It will be attached straight down through into here. So I've got all the holes pre-drilled. I've got holes pre-drilled in the deck itself that will run once I pilot drill into here, and lock it all together. So I'm just going to put this in. See, I'm not sure if you're in frame, but that should lock in around that bar, and this pushes up to lock in around the top bar. It's going to be a bit of a mission. That's I don't know how much of that you can see. It's going to fall over on me. Take a nosy. Yeah, so locked in around the top bar and that middle brace, and what I have to do is try and get this to slide through the gap and tie it all together, and then I can put the screws in to hold it. So it's sort of probably going to be easier said than done. But once it starts to go through, I might be able to just give it a little tap here and there. Yeah, I'll lay that down and I'll slide it on. Probably be easier to do laying down on the ground, so I'll show you when it's done. Alrighty, so we got it together. Yeah, it's a tight squeeze, but it's in there, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's solid. It's like, I don't think I'm going to have any issues with me standing on it and taking my weight. Yeah, it's really good, and the good thing is too, when it's not being used, it's just stand up, store it out of the road. It's not going to be taking up all of the room in the shed, which I don't like, having things taking up too much room. So I'm just going to pack, I've got 5 screws along here and 8 screws pre-drilled into there that go down into those 2 braces. It needs something at the back. There's nothing at all holding anything or any pressure, so the deck can just slide around on the back. So I'm going to have to go with that triangle idea and at least put one. I might even go put both of them either side of the same brace, and that could just potentially help any fall or back. But I don't see a heck of a lot of movement happening. Yeah, so we'll chuck that on, and then I should probably get the atom down off the trailer and just hook it up and make sure it all sits level before I get too carried away painting, in case I've got to take anything apart and modify. So I might do that this afternoon as well. We'll see how we go. So it's the next morning. I've come down here and hooked the trailer onto the back of the atom, got it down off the trailer there, off the other trailer, and yeah, although the concept was good, reality is it ain't going to work. I've got the jack stand, axle stand under the back there. Tried standing on it, and you can see my little wet footprints just here. That's about where I'd be standing to reach the handlebars to steer it and drive it properly, and that weight with the axle right at the back is far too far back, and I'm just putting way too much weight onto that pivot point. So the idea of keeping this as a usable trolley is out the window now, and what I'm going to do is use my leftover piece of ply, that middle piece that was cut out of that sheet there, and I'm going to have to make sort of a bracket that runs through under the middle here and move that whole axle forward, all the way forward, in line with basically these screws, which underneath is the end of that brace. So in a roundabout way it'll be kind of good, because I'll have a cross brace. I'll run a cross brace through and then a couple of triangulated pieces down with a hole through the bottom for that axle. What does worry me is the location, like left to right. The brackets under here pretty much line up with the tube, so how I'm going to get around that tube to get my straight down pieces of plywood to work without getting them rubbing on those tyres. Who knows, I'm just going to have to play with it and see what happens. Put some washers in here and there, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Just got to find a way. But yeah, the axle definitely needs to move all the way up here, otherwise I'm just going to jam up the steering or bend that pivot. It just isn't going to work the way it is. So righto, I wouldn't say back to the drawing board, but you know, I'm just making this thing up as I go along. I'm not copying it from anything else, but yeah, weight bias on a trailer obviously needs to be in the middle, so move the axle and see how it goes from there. Cheers. So I was pretty well right with what I thought was going to happen. The outsides of where the axle runs through, I've got the axle and the wheels off. It's sort of just inside this tube, so what I'm going to have to do, oh sorry, it's in line with it kind of, but when I put the plywood that's going to is going to form it there. See, if I hold that square, it's slightly out, about 5mm either side. I think it was 10mm overall. So what I'm going to do is make my brackets, and I'm going to put a little rebate in them so that they do sit 5mm in from here. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, because what I'm going to do is run 4 of them rather than just have one either side with a brace through the middle. I'm going to put one on either side of the tube. The outside one will have the small rebate, and I may even put a block between to strengthen it up, and then run my brace through this way as well. So what I've got on this piece of ply, I've drawn out the see my pencil lines there. This is the hole for the centre of the axle. So we're coming down, 45ing in, and then the axle will run through there. So I've got to cut 4 of these. Those pencil lines show up very well on camera, probably not, who cares. Yeah, 4 of those, and then hopefully I'll have a little piece left over at the end. What I plan on doing is cutting this first. I'm just going to cut it with a jigsaw to start with, and then flip it over and hopefully be able to get it back in so they kind of nest, so I can save a little bit of length of this board. The next one will go the other way and backwards and forwards and so on as I go down there. And then I'll get the drop saw out, because I'm always going to have a straight edge either on this edge or on this edge of them. And then I'll get the drop saw out and tidy up the 45s and the angles and router them and drill the holes. So I won't bore you with that process. I'll just get them all cut out, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to put it together, and hopefully it'll make a huge difference. So before I go gluing and screwing and joining all this together, here's my setup for underneath there. Yeah, so doubled up. There's the little rebate. You see there's a rebate out of this here, so that'll get it up around that tube. Same on the other side. There's a little 40 by 100 block in there. What I'm planning on doing is, when I put it together, that'll be screwed and glued pretty much right on the axle, or just under the axle there for the extra strength. The cross brace for the middle. So if I just bring this over to the trolley, I haven't got the lights on, so hopefully you can still see alright. That will be going over the top of that, and the side strings will come down either side of those rear bars. So yeah, should work out about right. I'm hoping the centre's going to be about there, so that's where those screw holes are on that side. So we should be around about where I had my feet when I was standing on the trolley, so we'll get the weight sort of hopefully more in the middle, if not a little bit to the back, or my weight will be right standing on the axle anyway, so I can just pull up a little bit on the handlebars. Okay, so yeah, I might just take a quick little break. She's getting pretty warm and humid and yuck, so take a little break and then I'll put all this together and throw it on the trolley. So we're getting closer and closer. Here's the whole assembly put together. I've got the axle through it there, everything lines up, slides through, so that's awesome. I set it in, goes around those posts. It's quite a firm fit into there, just like that. So yeah, it should be good. It's the same height as what the old wheels were, so the deck height will stay level and stay the same as it was. I could have adjusted it, I suppose, but that would have meant redoing all of this stuff. Slide a wheel on. Let's see what happens. So yeah, the wheels will be fine. What I might do, I don't know if I'm going to cut those bottom brackets off where the axle used to go through. I'm tempted to leave it there and then replace one of the, there's a split pin that goes through here and opens up and wraps around to stop the wheels coming off. I'm tempted to replace them with R-clips, so that I can pull an R-clip out, take the wheels off and move the axle down to the other thing, just to, you know, be able to use it as a trolley and roll it around when I'm not using it as a trailer. I don't know yet, we'll see how we go, but yeah, I'm just going to screw this on and then chuck it back on the Atom, maybe take it for a little run up the yard, and that'll be that for this video. I'm not going to paint it just yet, that'll have to wait for another day. I've just about run out of time for these days off, so that can wait till next round. But yeah, really happy with how this is turning out, so we'll just get it all screwed in there and finish it up. Sorry about any wind noise out here, guys, but yeah, I've got it back on there. I pulled it out of the shed. It's just dried off a bit now, and it is 100% better. Yeah, bringing that axle forward, I don't know if it looks funny or not, but I think it's okay. I was just standing on it, and when I stand right on top of that axle, there's almost no weight going onto the front there. If I move and just stand a little bit forward, it sort of locks up. I can just go backwards, just move my feet, so as long as I'm careful where my feet are, and it pivots like it's supposed to, so I'll be able to turn corners and drive it around. So yeah. Well, here we are with the final product. It's worked out pretty cool now. I've been battling with this, to be honest, for a few days. The little motor just didn't want to run right, and I found out what the problem was. It was something so simple, and I just overthought everything and took the whole motor to bits and cleaned everything. The car's going to go past in a minute, make a bit of noise, but yeah, what do you reckon? Farmy looking. So, just spray in the gutters to kill off the weeds. I could probably go do the job on this, to be honest. Yeah, so it all works. I've just been driving around, and it's a lot of fun. It really is fun. Got the axle moved forward, got my little R-clips in the axle here, so I can just pull a clip, pull the whole axle out and put it back into the rear bracket to stand it up and roll it around against the wall. So yeah, I see a little bit of oil dripping out there that's just coming out through this PTO shaft, so that's not a big deal. I did a couple other little maintenance tasks, topped up the engine oil, put a new washer on the drain bung on the back there. Yeah, all sorts of things. It's been completely taken apart, cleaned the fuel filters and stuff. So yeah, I'll fire it up and we'll take it for a little bit of a spin, and you'll see what it goes like. It's pretty neat. For 1.5, I think it's 1.3 or 1 1/3 or 1.5 horsepower or something. Gets me around. So yeah, it'll be awesome for farming like Granddad to be able to drive this thing around pleasurably without having to hang on to the handlebars and get dragged around behind it while I'm walking. So let's fire it up. So there we go, as you can see, yeah, quite manoeuvrable. It's a tight little space up around there, just on the edge of the road, so I can't wait to get this thing out in the paddock and drive it around when we do the farming like Granddad, but it's only in a few weeks now, so cool. Yeah, hitch is fine. I mean, it'll loosen up, it's all going good. I like the little seat. Stained the timber deck on there. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. It'll look quite cool with a little box or a crate on the back somewhere. But I don't know, yeah, for now she's running great. So hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll get a proper video made for farming like Granddad this year. Last year I went weather turned to custard halfway through the day, and yeah, it was still a good event though, but I just didn't bother filming too much out there, so hopefully this year will be different for you. Alright, thanks for watching. See ya.